Welcome to season 3 of It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. My name is Mike Mitchell, Associate Director of Alumni Relations at Salem State. We are very excited to kick off the season with a fun interview today featuring our very own Julie Russell, promotions and marketing whiz, guru, genius, whatever you want to call her. Julie, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? That's quite the intro.
Well, we are thrilled that you are here with us today. Lots of fun things to talk about. Very excited to learn more about you, kind of how you got your start, and then we'll get into some of the work that you're doing now a little bit later on in the conversation. So, first question we always like to ask people is how'd you end up at Salem State? What brought you here?
Let's see, my college story is kind of weird. I went to Dean College my first year. I was playing basketball. I was in the entertainment. And then I just kind of realized it wasn't really for me, just like the school and everything. And so I transferred to Middlesex, got my associate's degree in just like basic gen ed. And I was like, okay, what am I doing next? What's kind of my end goal? I'm definitely wasn't like, I didn't want to live on campus or anything like that. I was definitely starting to like feet on the ground with like my career and, internships. And so then I was like looking at like local schools, and Salem's communications program was just kind of the better fit for me. So I transferred there for my I believe it was my second semester junior year, and then my senior year, and completed my bachelor's degree with communications, marketing, and PR.
Okay, and so you graduate. What does the next step look like for you? Where does life take you after that?
While at Salem, I had started and got my foot in the door at the first radio station I worked at. I was part-time promotions at AMP Radio, which was owned by CBS Radio. So while at Salem, I was going to class, and then I'd drive to the radio station, work the night shifts, morning shifts, anything that was around my class schedule, and then worked there for a couple of years. I had moved out to LA after I graduated, and got a job at America's Got Talent. I got kicked in the teeth in LA. I hated it. I really struggled. It was not what I thought it was going to be. An opportunity at 98.5 The Sports Hub opened up back in Boston. I moved home, and I was at 98.5 The Sports Hub as the promotions manager, handling all the events, marketing, under the marketing director at the radio station. I had a team of 20 underneath me that I was managing. So I had my first team under me that, I was in charge of scheduling and making sure everything went well with events and clients and sales. While at the Sports Hub, I had created my company called Fangirl Fantasy, which is an events nightlife company. So while I was at the Sports Hub, I'd leave work, and then I'd go home and, come up with what this was, what it's going to look like, how I'm going to start this. So I was at the Sports Hub for about 2 years. COVID hit, and I had been furloughed, laid off. Fangirl Fantasy had just started picking up in 2019 and getting the first events under the belt, being like, okay, this is like kind of something. I think we have something here. COVID hit, and so kind of had to put it on pause, and got completely laid off from the Sports Hub in 2020. An opportunity came about from a friend to come out to LA and help out with a content house for a bunch of TikTokers and influencers. And I was like, ooh, LA again. Do I really want to put my feet back in the water? He's like, I really need help. Like, I think you'd be a great fit. Come out for 2 weeks, see if you like it. If you don't, no hard feelings. Went out to LA, and I have not left. And so I loved it, what I was doing. So I am a day-to-day manager for a bunch of influencers and TikTokers out in LA, as well as running my Fangirl Fantasy company full-time.
So let's dive into that a little bit more. But actually, before we do that, as we were just talking before we started, I think one of the things that I admire the most about you and your work ethic and learning a little bit about you is, like we were talking about, in that time you spent at America's Got Talent, you had committed to yourself to doing anything that was asked of you, as you said, getting kicked in the teeth, kind of earning your chops a little bit.
Mhm.
How did that help you kind of develop the drive, the tenacity that you needed to start your own business? Because I think that's what's missing for a lot of folks, is that taking a moment to acknowledge that it's not always about just work. Sometimes it's about getting in front of the right people at the right time in the right place. So how did that help you prepare for the next steps after that?
Yeah, I definitely think it made me take a step back and be like, okay, I thought I could do anything. I was like, wherever I go, like, and it was just the job was just not what I ended up wanting to do, like end goal. And I very much think I do like things not my way, but I think like, like if you're under a team or something like that, it's really hard sometimes and they have their ways, the way that, no, this is how it's going to work. And especially when you work for a big company or corporate and it's like really hard to be like, yeah, but things are changing and, we readjust. But also LA is just hard in general and it's not Boston, a small market where you can do X, Y, and Z. So I think going home to Boston and maybe take a step back a bit. Okay, what are my goals? What do I actually want to do? What brings me joy and makes me happy? And it is events and it is being like bringing people together and like having like start to finish and like an end result of being like, oh god, everyone here is having fun. Where my role at like America's Got Talent was on digital and it was like social and it was very tedious and like sitting at a computer and that's just not my personality. So I think it helped me realize like, okay, I enjoy this. I enjoy events and I enjoy X, Y, and Z. And so it really made me like, okay, don't just do it. There's, of course, you got to do opportunities to like put you in the next step, but it's also like, you got to kind of like it, you do have to make sure like you're in the career path of like, I enjoy this just because it's in entertainment and in the field, it doesn't mean that it's going to like help you get to the next spot.
Sure. And so as you described it, Fangirl Fantasy, events and entertainment experiences. One of the things I know you're getting ready to hit the road with another slew of appearances. And one of the things that I love about the company is that your events are always themed, right? So you have a 5 seconds of summer versus One Direction night or a Hailer. Talk to talk to me a little bit about kind of what led you to create these themes, where you derive them from, and then kind of how it takes off from there. Because I think it's fascinating.
So being at the radio station, like really young, I was like 20, working at these bar appearances and these clubs with like, all the DJs and going out and I was like from 20 to 23, 24, I was at every bar, every club, every weekend in Boston, with all of our friends and just working or whatever. And I was like, it's all the same music, all of it. It's your Drake and Migos and Kanye and whatever, Rihanna. And for me, the reason I'm even in the entertainment industry is because I love going to concerts and I love celebrities and I love pop culture. I thrive off of it. I love it to the like even to this day. And so what I was like, this is not the music me and my friends listen to. Like when I go in the car and put my aux on and listen to Spotify, listen to Taylor Swift, the Jonas Brothers, to One Direction, to super pop music. Find me one place in Boston that was playing any of that music. Find me one. You're not going to. So I kind of just like sat on it for a while and I was like, if Taylor Swift is selling out Gillette Stadium 2 nights in a row in Boston, pretty sure there's a lot of people in Boston that love Taylor Swift music that would enjoy a place that they can go listen to Taylor Swift music at just because she's not on tour. And after COVID, there was no touring for 2 years, and as the name Fangirl Fantasy, as a fangirl, it's like I have so many friends that I only ever see when I go to a concert. But they're some of my closest friends. So it's like, let's give them another night to see each other and hang out. And that can be at a Fangirl Fantasy event. And so I brought it to a couple of, my DJ friends. I was like, this is my idea. What do you think? And they were just like, not our, not our demo, not our market, but we trust you. And they're like, so if you want help, you want us to like DJ it, whatever, like you're gonna have to kind of teach us the ropes. And but they're like, we trust you that you're gonna, that if you have this idea that it's gonna work. And so we got a venue. This is 2019 of May 2019. That it was 21 plus, and it was like a bar that was like new that like needed people to come in. So they're like, you can bring people in, like, why not? So the first one I think was like 150 people came. And I was like, okay, cool. Like a lot of it was a lot of friends and, just coming to support. And then we had another one and then another one. And then in October 2019, we did one at a new bar. It was 2 floors. There's 350 people sold out, a line around the block. And it was all Taylor Swift music. And I was like, hey, like, I think I have something here. Like it's starting to come together. Like people are sharing it all over social media. And then November 2019, we did it at the Middle East downstairs, which is 550 people. I had to like invest my money into like renting the venue for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, like that's a lot of money. Like, and then, on top of paying the DJ and a photographer. And I'm like, oh God. And we sold that out, 550 people. And I was like, oh shit, like what is happening? Like I was on cloud nine, but and then yeah, 20 like the beginning of 2020, we really were just like going, went to New York for the first time. And one of the girls from Barstool Sports from Chicks in the Office came out, and like she just had bought tickets with her and her friends because they're fans of the Jonas Brothers. And it just like naturally happened, and people are like tagging us, being like, oh my God, friends, like, friends there. And so I was getting like attention on social, and we went to Rhode Island, but then we had like 6 events in Boston that were just like, we're just trying out different themes. Like, okay, people love Lady Gaga and Beyonce, and like Gaga's doing Fenway Park. Like, there has to be something. So, yeah, we just kind of picked it up, and then like I said, COVID hit. But while things were happening with COVID, I was just at home, like, okay, what works? What people are asking us to come to different cities. How do we get to this city? How do we make it more fun? And it is a business. Like, how are we making more money? So we were like, oh well, like merch would be awesome. So then we like created, I hired a merch team, and we created our own merch line, and just different things so that when we could be in a venue or when we could travel, we were ready to go. Like as soon as like the government like gave us the green light of like, you're good to go. Like I wanted to be like, oh no, we're good to go. So I spent that, COVID just being like ready, like, what's our next step? What does this look like? And so yeah, that's kind of what happened.
And so now as we're coming out of the back end of this pandemic, right? Life is starting to begin again. We're very lucky. And I'm looking and I'm seeing you have like 15 or 20 dates lined up for future cities now. So you're getting ready to hit the road again. So talk a little bit about what kind of your thought process is in sourcing venues, sourcing cities to go to, and some of the things that you're considering when you pick a place.
So our social media kind of took off. It would just, TikTok is a huge thing, but I'm super lucky. We now have a talent booker, Michael, and he is our contact for all of it. So he just like any job, like, he's really good at what he does. So he has these contacts, and I couldn't even tell you like what his pitch looks like or anything like that, because that's that's his job. But so he basically will be like, we'll send like the weekends that we're available, what's going on in the pop culture world. If like, Taylor's about to release an album in October. So it's like, we want to hit the major markets, during that like week or two. So we'll just kind of be like, hey, we're free, like, this Thursday to Sunday, can you get us a run in this area? So we'll do like a California run, or we're going to be, this is happening. Like, we really want to go back to the Midwest. So we'll do like the Milwaukee, Minneapolis, or Detroit, Chicago. So he really kind of handles that for us in regards of like booking us and getting us in the venues. And then I'm in charge of making sure like, okay, once, he booked it, then it's like marketing and stuff like that. That's on us.
And so now as you're starting to establish, or you have established this kind of foothold in the world that you're doing, in the world that you're in with these events that you're putting on, given the benefit of a couple of years of hindsight now, is there anything that you wish you had done differently when you started?
I don't want to say I was like naive, but I think I will say I was like naive, where I was just like, I would never screw someone over. So like, why would someone screw me over? Like in regards to like just like business deals, and like a couple of the venues in Boston when I was just learning. I didn't really know how any of this worked. And so I think just like making sure, and I think this is like with anyone, having everything in writing, and having everything like, whether it's just a simple agreement where it's like you send an email with like an attachment that just says, you have the venue from this time, this is how, just like something silly like that. And just not everyone has your best interest. It is business at the end of the day, and sometimes you have to like, you're like, yeah, but like we were friends and we've gone to the bar before and gotten drinks. No, it doesn't work that way sometimes. So just everything, you just have to realize that like when business and money comes into play, like it's business, and not all personal relationships. You got to kind of sometimes have that line. But I think I'm super lucky with like the people I have around me, and like from where I started at the radio station, and I have great supportive guys that I work in the entertainment industry, like especially in the Boston nightlife, that have been like really on my team. And so I think I'm super fortunate that I haven't had like the worst of the worst that could happen when you start a business. But yeah, I think with anyone, there's always like anything, there's always little things that you're just like, I could have done that differently, or, just learning. But no, I mean, I'm super grateful and can't believe where this is even taken off to. There's like things that I keep saying, like I'm checking off my bucket list that I didn't even know was on my bucket list. And just like, it's something like, partnering with the Red Sox, like never thought that would happen. And then it is. I'm like, well, I guess that's a bucket list thing. And but I didn't even get to add it. So no, I'm super fortunate and lucky that haven't had too much hardship.
Okay. And now thinking about it from a sort of a full circle perspective, right? As we think back now to your time as a student here at the university, because you had mentioned at the top that it was something about the communications program that really you felt drawn to it and you felt like it was the right choice. What do you remember about the program feeling like it was the right place for you? Do you remember any of your faculty fondly? Stay in touch with anybody? Share a little bit about your time here.
Yeah, my favorite class was Professor Thompson. He would have we had Bob LaBelle come in with us, and he would talk, and he'd be kind of like a co-teacher. But yeah, he would always bring in like um, peers in the community that like do things in the entertainment space in Boston, and come talk to the class like this is what you do. And I think that's the one thing with schooling is whether it's an internship or not, it's like you need real life experience. Like you need to like learn from people that have like the real life experience and like have done it. And I think do sometimes I'm not like I just it's like from like we were like you have a professor that has never actually ran a business before. So it's like, how are you teaching me how to run a business if you've never even done it yourself? It's like I could have read that book too. So Professor Thompson, he like had his own PR firm, and so he would like show us things that he had done with his clients, and then he would bring in different like I said, people in the Boston industry that have done this and this and that you can actually learn from and hear from and take their experience. Be like, okay, cool. Just kind of like this. It's like, oh, this is where they learned. Don't do this, or this isn't the best opportunity. So yeah, we actually still keep in touch, which is great, just because of power of social media. It's there. We're on Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff.
And we'll absolutely tag the company and the links when we put this out on social for everybody to see. So make sure if you're listening or watching along, click the links, follow, like, share any content that you like. It's fascinating. I love this stuff. I'm an events person as well from another life, so I love what you're up to. So last question for you. You're in front of a classroom full of seniors who are getting ready to graduate. What's the biggest piece of advice you're going to give them as they get ready to enter the real world?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of pressure. One piece of advice. I think there's not one path for everybody. That even to this day, people ask me what I do for a living. Like, even though they see, like, oh, you just throw parties. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. So I think there is like, you can find your passion in anything. You love sports. There's a career in sports that you can figure out how to do it. You love going to concerts. So I think there's a path for everything. You just kind of have to figure out what and how to make that happen if that's really what you want to do. And I'm super firm believer in like you just have fun in life. And so like make sure what you're doing is like you're having fun and you enjoy it too. Like, yeah, you gotta pay your bills, but there's a little work-life balance in there that you can have. Or if you just want to work, make sure you have that life balance, even if you hate your job. But I don't know. I'm just such a firm believer in just making sure that you're enjoying your life as well, and prioritizing that, because it's just so important. I've had the jobs where I've worked 24/7 and was like, I am not happy. Just make sure that you're putting yourself first and taking care of yourself, even in the workplace.
So take care of yourself in the workplace. Find something that makes you happy. Be open to change.
Yes.
Fabulous. Incredible advice. Julie, thank you so much. I know like I said, you're getting ready to head out on the road again soon. So really appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Of course.
Thank you for staying in touch. And again, be sure to like, follow Fangirl Fantasy. We'll tag it in the post as well, so everybody can do that easily. Julie, thanks so much for your time. It was really great talking to you.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right. And that's It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. My name is Mike Mitchell, Associate Director for Alumni Relations. Until next time. Thanks for watching.